leave comments and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so I finally figured out how to keep up with that.
All right. We getting there. After how many months?
Right, it took so long. It's because we're so used to doing it live.
I know, we've only done a few of these.
I like the at-home thing. I like to be in my house. You know that. It's my favorite place to be. All right. I'm going to share it, and then we'll just get started and as people join.
Okay. I'll do that too. This is pretty much what it would be like if you were in the office, Rwenshaun. We take about 5 minutes to try to get all in place.
Right.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes between.
We just make sure everybody sees behind the scenes.
Nah, it's definitely making sense.
Yes.
Welcome to somebody's watching.
I can't tell.
You can see at the bottom it says viewer. No, you don't see that? Oh, maybe it's just because I'm on the main account.
Oh, I think it's me because I clicked on the YouTube link to see it. Y'all look good.
Never mind. The issue. So if you are watching, because I do see somebody else join, you can comment on YouTube, but I think you have to have a YouTube account, or you can. Oh, you didn't share the actual thing.
Yeah, I did.
Like you didn't just share the link on Facebook.
Yes, you did.
Oh, why don't I see that?
It says join us.
Oh, I see it. I just skipped over it.
Justin just said he's the one watching.
All right. Hey, Justin.
Justin.
I just reshared it too.
All right. And I'm sharing it, and then we're done. Oh, and one tip, I think you already know this, Elisa, but like whenever there's a link, I guess it's for anybody that's watching, whenever there's a link, if you put it in the comments, Facebook will share it more than if you put it in the actual
in the text.
The text, yeah. Okay. They act funny about that. So you just put the post in a picture, and then in the comment, the first comment have a link, and they'll actually let more people see it.
Okay.
Because they're haters. Anyway. All right, so we can go ahead and get started. We don't really need to do the 5 seconds because it's quiet. So let me pull up Trello.
We always do 5 seconds of
meditation
at the beginning. And at the beginning, I didn't know why she was doing that. So I was like, oh, we're having a moment of silence. Right. And then she's like, oh, no, it's just for the podcast. So it's quiet. I'm like, oh.
I just have to get some silence so then I can go back and use that silence. So if there's like a humming in the background or something like that, it'll delete all of it's something I learned from podcasting. So anyways, all right, guys, welcome back to Between Sessions podcast. Today we are joined by Rwenshaun Miller, and we are going to talk about mental health, his struggles with mental health. And I'm curious what led, I'm assuming your struggles, but I'm curious what led you into becoming a mental health professional, and just the resources that are available and things like that. If you caught the town hall, then you know Rwenshaun was one of our panelists, and it was a really good discussion. And so we're happy to have him on again to talk more about his experiences with mental health and what he's doing in minority communities. So thanks for joining me. Huh? Oh, I just jumped right in, didn't I? I'm Ebony Harris.
And I'm Elisa Bokeen, and we are two brown chicks changing the face of therapy on both sides
of the couch. Thank you for joining.
She's eager to get into this podcast.
I'm like, let's start the conversation. Sorry. Yes, y'all are listening to Between Sessions podcast. Do we have announcements before we get started?
We can save the announcements for the end because we've got a webinar coming up, and then I was going to give some details about a giveaway that we're going to be doing. So, but we can wait till the end for those.
All right. So we're going to just go ahead and get started. Elisa, do you want to do like a formal introduction of Rwenshaun?
Yes. Let me kind of randomly stuff. This man does a lot. So let me pull it up.
You gonna read the whole thing, or you gonna give the?
You know what? I'm gonna read the condensed version, right?
He's like, please don't do the whole thing.
He is an author. He is a mental health advocate. He is a licensed practitioner. He is a speaker. He is an entrepreneur. He's just all around dope, and just really, really authentic, and just so courageous with the way that he presents his story and lets people really get to know. I'm talking about like you're not even here, Rwenshaun, but the way that you do all these things so that you can really, I mean, when we talk about changing the face of therapy on both sides of the couch, I think you really are a representative of that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Man. I'm excited.
Well, hopefully this will be a good time. So we want to start off with, where did your passion for promoting mental health in minority communities, where did that come from?
Man, it came from a personal experience. I actually was diagnosed with bipolar disorder back in 2006. And it was something that was put on me, not because I was willingly going to seek therapy or knew anything about mental health. It was basically because I was drugged to the hospital by my family. They were able to pick up on, different things that were changing in me, and they understood that I wasn't the Shaun that they were used to. So when they noticed those changes, I actually went through a period where I didn't sleep for a couple of weeks. Lost about 25 pounds over a matter of like 6 weeks. Wow. And then I really wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't showering, my hair was all over the place, and it was just bad. So when they noticed that, they said, we need to get you some help. Well, at first they started asking me what's going on. And I was like, nothing, I'm good. So it was like, well, since you won't tell us what's going on and we can see something is definitely wrong, we're going to take you to the hospital. And when they took me to the hospital, they like literally drugged me there. And that's what led me into being restrained and being sedated. But then I was in the hospital for a little bit and ended up receiving my diagnosis. After I received my diagnosis, ended up getting out of the hospital, started therapy and started meds, got better. But when I got better, I stopped. And I think one of the key things for that was that when I was taken to the hospital, none of my friends knew what was going on. So I kept it hid away from a lot of people. And when I stopped and actually went back to school, my symptoms came back, and I started self-medicating with alcohol this time to try to subdue those symptoms. And during that time period, drinking a fifth of tequila, I did that for drinking a fifth of tequila every other day. Did that for about 4 years. And from there, during those time periods and during my stages of depression, I attempted suicide 3 times. The first 2 times I overdosed on pills, and then the last time I put a gun in my head and pulled the trigger, and it jammed on. So that was something that I really, it was a wake-up call for me. And but then I started to realize why a lot of our people don't seek help. And I hid my diagnosis for 7 years. Wow. And by me hiding it, people couldn't pick up on those signs and symptoms because I got good at masking it from my family because they already knew something was going on, but I knew I needed to keep it away from them. My friends didn't know, oh, Shaun's out drinking all day, every day. There's an issue with that. So what really got me into it was me getting better that second time, but then also me realizing that me going back and looking at my journey as far as getting help and getting therapy, I was forced into it for one, but then when I was forced into it, nobody looked like me. And so I wasn't comfortable with sharing what was really going on with me, telling people that I was hearing voices and that I wasn't sleeping and all those things. Because I'm looking at them like, oh, you're white, man. You're not about to judge me for
right.
So, and then I don't trust you already anyway. So I noticed that void, and I wanted to fill that void and really get the help, really help our people get the help that they need.
Right. I think that's a good point to make, because I feel like that fear is really what stops people from going, because it's the fear of even having to go to a hospital, but the fear of other people judging whatever they're going through and making decisions for their life based on like, I'm struggling right now. And that I think that's very prevalent, and it's even prevalent in like when we're talking about referring people. We just had a conversation about this before this podcast. Like when referring people, I might have a client that is going through some stuff, but I know that they aren't at a place to need to get hospitalized. Okay, why can't I say that right? Put in the hospital. But if I send them to certain clinicians, that may be the first step because they just don't understand how they may deal with their stress or their anger or whatever the case may be. And so I do think that stops people from seeking help sometimes.
Definitely. Yeah. And then we just don't know what therapy looks like because that's not something that we talk about in Black and brown community.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
We don't know what their process is.
Right.
You're supposed to talk about your emotions, and we already don't talk about, especially as a man, we don't talk about their emotions anyway. So I'm already uncomfortable before I get in there.
Right. You're gonna force me to talk about something that I've never talked about before.
Right.
Yeah.
And then being in such a vulnerable state,
right?
You're just even trying to figure out what you're experiencing and everything that you're going through, and then add that to all these other layers. To really not know which way to turn. Which I think is what's interesting about you, Rwenshaun, is, I remember in one of your other interviews, them asking you, well, was it because you had low self-esteem or you were insecure? And you're like, no, I was the man.
Everything was great.
that was Charlemagne asked me that. Yeah.
So I think it's important to highlight that because I do think that people, like you said, I was really, really good at masking this. It wasn't like I was, the lonely person who didn't have the ability to be social. Like you had everything in your favor in that regards, and still you were struggling and, again, not knowing what people are sometimes going through.
Right. I mean, we have these preconceived notions of what mental illness looks like or what depression looks like. But yeah, I was an athlete. I was a top scholar. So, and it doesn't discriminate on who it really affects. And so that's like you said, I was out every day, all day, smiling and, in people's faces, but I was struggling on the inside.
Right. And especially in minority communities, we're taught to put on a good face, put on a strong face when you're around other people. You don't show people your weaknesses. Right. Whatever happens in the house, you keep it in the house. All those messages that we're taught keep us from being vulnerable or being honest when we're around people that aren't close to us, and even with the people that are close to us.
Yeah, but we don't need to share stuff with our own family members.
Right, exactly. You don't talk about certain things, or we keep secrets, and it's a whole mess of messages that we've been taught our whole life that keep us from even seeing the benefit of reaching out for help or seeking help from others. Yeah. So you recently wrote a book, Injured Reserve, a Black man's playbook to handle being sidelined by mental illnesses. Can you share what led to the moment of you having a loaded gun and deciding that you wanted to just end your life?
Oh man, it was so much stuff going on at that time, man. There was relationship issues, there was finances, just family was worried about me. I felt like a lot of times when people think about suicide, they think about that it's a selfish act. Honestly, I thought about everybody else that was around me. My first thought was, if I'm no longer here, they won't have to worry about me. They can I don't have to be a burden to them. I don't, have to be a mess up to everybody. Because although I had a lot of things going good for me, I couldn't see those things. Everything that I seen was negative. Like no matter what. And then the gun came into play because I owned a gun and I always had it. But for me to attempt suicide the first 2 times, just simply overdosing on pills or attempt to overdose on pills, I was like, well, I'm gonna make sure I do this right this time. So this is no second guessing, and to have the I call it courage, because you got to think about it. You got to have some balls to try to kill yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
Just be honest.
Yeah.
And to do that the first 2 times and fail, to realize, I was like, yo, that was like one of my lowest points. So I was like, okay, I can't go through that anymore. So let me make sure I do it right this time.
Right. And I think, sorry, go ahead.
And I mean, and then when it jammed on me, I was like, yo, now this is the lowest one.
Right. Like I still can't do right.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I like the point that you made though about, because it is, it's frustrating to read people put comments like, this is selfish. How could you do this to the people that love you? Right. And so many people that you talk to that have survived suicide attempts are saying like, no, I wanted to help everybody. I didn't want to be a burden. I didn't want them to have to worry about me anymore. I felt like I was draining them or whatever the case may be. Like, it's not about like, I'm doing this just for myself. I'm doing this to try to make everybody else's life easier or better. But that's not how the survivors see it, which is unfortunate.
But then on top of that, people have to realize that you have to be in a very bad state to want to end your life, and you're in some tremendous pain, emotion.
Right.
So I mean, and you don't have that sense of perception that where you're thinking about what's going to happen after the fact.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't have that sense of reality. You're thinking about the now and then. That's it. And a lot of people, like you said, a lot of people are like, oh, it's selfish, or I can't see myself killing myself. I mean, honestly, the voices in my head were so loud at that particular time, it really did not matter who was in front of me, who was trying to get me to stop, or any of those things. So that was my reality.
Right.
At that particular time.
Right.
Just relief from all of it. That's just kind of what I think the overall theme is, like just wanting relief for yourself from this tremendous pain, and wanting relief the way that you saw relief for your family, like from them going through that. That's just, you know, really highlights to me, again, that tremendous amount of pain that one is in to even contemplate, like this will be the best thing for everyone.
Right.
And I think the struggle is that it's hard to conceptualize emotional pain. Like if someone is getting abused every day or something like that, like we can mentally understand that. But I think for the person going through it, even for them, it's hard to understand, like, it's not like somebody's doing this to me. Like, I just have this, I'm just feeling this. So if I'm getting, and I don't want to diminish one or the other, but if I'm getting physically abused, I know where it comes from. I know there's a way, well, maybe I don't see a way out, but I know that the source of the pain. Whereas that emotional pain, sometimes you don't even recognize that there's a source, or where, like, it's just me. And so there is no way out.
Yeah, you can't get away from it. You can't.
Exactly.
You can't get away from the voices that are there. You can't get away from the emotions. Like, and then the frustrating part of people not seeing that, and then you having to have the happy face.
And I mean, sometimes I explain to people. Let's say if you get in an argument with a friend or something, and y'all are screaming at the top of your lungs, you get to the point where you're like, I don't want to deal with this no more. You can leave.
Right.
I had, at a particular time, I had 3 voices in my head screaming to the top of their lungs, and then I have my own thoughts. And then no matter where I go, they're with me.
Wow.
Even if I lay down to go to sleep, I can't go to sleep because it's so much stuff going on in my head. So you don't get any rest.
Right.
You don't find no relief.
Right. Yeah.
The relief I did find was at the bottom of a bottle, but that's because I passed out from drinking too much. And so then you also thinking about, people don't know you have a diagnosis. And so when you're hearing it, I could be sitting in front of somebody talking, and I'm hearing a voice, and I'm turning, and like I'm trying to make sure that I'm acting normal.
Right.
While I have all of this other stuff going on in my head, so they're not looking at me sideways.
Yeah. So what about, you said that you found relief at the bottom of a bottle. Can you talk about some of those coping skills that you used during that time, and how it was probably masked as just normal social behaviors?
Well, drinking, that was my main coping. Promiscuous behavior, like just constant sexual activity. It was bad, man. Also, like I would, because I would just be speeding and stuff a lot, like doing a lot of reckless behaviors when it comes down to like feeling invincible at times.
Right.
Also, partying a lot, and just not sleeping. I mean, like I said, I wasn't sleeping I would only sleep when I pass out.
Yeah.
So I didn't really have no good coping skills.
Right. But some of those things can be confused as like normal behavior. So if you're going through that, right? Because like
you just being a college boy.
Right. Like I just drank a lot, I have a lot of sex, and it's great. Like, how do you determine that this isn't necessarily the appropriate coping skills, or how do you determine if your behaviors are becoming problematic?
Right.
And it becomes problematic. Well, I can't even say. I would say it becomes problematic when it affects your daily life. I was functional.
Mm-hmm.
I was working a full-time job, and I was in college at the time, and I ended up finishing school on time.
Mm-hmm.
I even experimented with so many different drugs and stuff. Like, I mean, you name it. Like, I mean, it was like, I think really what it comes down to is we have to change the narrative about these different coping mechanisms that we utilize on a daily basis, and just really check people regardless.
Right.
Like, a lot of times, even when I tell people now that, you know, you have a stressful day at work, they were like, oh, I need to go get a glass of wine. No, we need to process what made your day stressful. How can you make it a little less stressful the next day? And then you can possibly have a glass of wine. It's not, your glass of wine is not going to change how your day went.
Right. Right.
You get that false sense of security from substances, especially just because they're illegal.
That's what I was going to say, because, yeah, we all like a nice happy hour.
We do regular happy hours.
Pause before you get too happy.
Right.
But I think it's great because it is part of our culture. And, you know, I think the whole, you know, like, you were successful, you were popular, you have all these things going for you, right? All the things. So yeah, he's got it together. So maybe, you know, he's having a good time. He's just being young, you know, but look, he's managing all his responsibilities. So what you're saying about checking on your people, like, regardless, you know, if it seems like they've got everything going on. And I think, you know, because one of the things you talk about a lot is self-care. So checking on yourself a lot, like, you know, pausing and thinking the way, like you just said, before I go get that glass of wine, what am I trying to drink away today? Right.
And then, and really recognizing, how does something affect you? I think a lot of times, you know, people consider, oh, I'm gonna get a drink as self-care. No, that's not self-care.
Yeah, right.
Like,
I need to smoke this blunt calling in my nerves. That's my self-care. No,
it's just masking whatever is going on. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think the trouble with that is we are not allotted time to figure out who we are. And the things that we enjoy, that genuinely enjoy, and not being influenced by any outside force. Like, I've had somebody told me, well, you should be happy because this, that, and the third went on. How you gonna tell me how I should feel?
Right.
When I'm already telling you how I do feel. I keep saying that I'm, and it's not saying that I'm not grateful for whatever has going on, but this is how I still feel. So there's an issue with that. So I need to understand what that issue is, why I don't feel certain way.
Right.
Well, I think that also speaks to us. You know, I think often that does make people uncomfortable because we do place so much value on external signs of success. And so on some level, if, hey, you got it all going on, right? Like, so you're doing this, you're doing that, you're getting awarded for this, you know, you're here, you're there. Like, you should have it all together. Because somewhere in my mind, that's what I'm striving for. And I'm thinking, if I get all of those accomplishments, I'm gonna be good. So I really can't hear this, that I gotta do that internal work, because that stuff's not as fun.
Right.
And I think, yeah, definitely you're looking for those external things to kind of help you feel successful or feel like I've made it, but if you haven't dealt with anything internally, it's still going to be some type of an emptiness or hole there. And even the most successful people struggle. Like, it's not about, or outwardly successful. Like, everybody has a bad day. So you shouldn't tell anyone what they should be feeling, or, oh, that shouldn't be that big of a deal for you because you have all of this going on. Like, it doesn't matter. I'm going to feel how I feel. And when I go through rough times, I have to deal with that. I can't just mask it with, well, I did make this much money yesterday, so I guess I shouldn't feel that. Like, that makes no sense at all.
Right.
More money, more problems anyway. So you're just going to come. It's coming.
I think that's a big reason why people who, like, when we do accomplish certain parts, like why people don't reach out. Because, okay, I'm supposed to have it all. I'm supposed to be happy now. I'm supposed to have it all together. And I think that's a big part of why people don't seek out help.
Definitely.
Right.
For fear of someone judging you for the fact that they're thinking that you're not grateful for whatever you have accomplished, or for fear that they may minimize your emotions and feelings.
Right.
Definitely. So for you, what was the pressure growing up and even now on being a successful man, and specifically a successful Black man, because there's way more pressure on, like, you have to hit this standard as a Black man. How did that affect your mental health before being diagnosed, and how does it affect you now?
Before, I had a lot of pressure. I mean, I was the only child, but I had cousins and stuff growing up, and I was always that smart kid that was also, good at sports too. So it was the pressure of performing in the classroom, but then also performing on the field, which would lead to me making it out of Berkeley County. Berkeley County, man, is very small. We had and I mean, it's very rural. So we still have farms and stuff down there, and we only had one high school, but it's home. But people look at it like, yo, somebody got to make it out so you can put the hood on, and we can, everybody's going to root for you because you the home team, and we putting all this backing behind all of this community backing behind you because we're counting on you. So growing up, as a smart kid, it was like, oh, we tell, especially in the Black and brown communities, man, we tell our people, if you're smart, you're going to be a doctor, or you're going to be a lawyer, or and then if you're an athlete, you're going to try to make it to the league. We don't give them that opportunity to figure out what they really want to do, or explore those different options. They want you to be X so that you can make X amount of dollars, and then hopefully bring X amount of dollars back to the hood. And so you add that pressure on to graduating at the top of my class and going to Carolina, actually walking on to the football team and the track team. Just trying to keep up that facade, man. I had a real gut check when I got to Carolina because I was a smart kid in Berkeley, but when I got to Carolina, I realized I ain't know nothing when it came down to school.
Right.
But still trying to put up that facade for the people back home that, I'm still thriving.
Right.
So like, just and then we have this preconceived notion of what success is. We think, like you said, if you make X amount of dollars, or you drive this car, or you wear X amount of clothes, or certain people know you. And even now to these days, is you have X amount of followers, or you get X amount of likes on your pictures, and all of it. So I mean, it's another layer to being successful, but it's stressful.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's it just looks different. It's the same thing. It's the same expectation. It's the same, especially if you are trying to have some type of a brand or be in the public. It's kind of like that comparison of, well, we're not where they are, or you don't have as much as this person. And it all can cause you to kind of get down on yourself. But then, like you said earlier, it makes it harder to seek out help because people think you have it together, right? It looks like you have it all together, when in the background, me and Elisa be like, what the heck is going on with Melanin in the mental people writing us, asking us, can y'all donate this money to here and there? And we're like, what do you think we're doing over here?
So I definitely get it. And so like, I guess prior to my diagnosis, but then also I got hall passes for certain things. As I look back at when I was younger, man, I had a bad attitude problem. I was very quick tempered. I would easily fight. And just like everybody already knew that, yo, you don't cross Sean when it comes down to certain things. But then if I fight, I get excused for it because I had good grades, and then I also was an athlete. So they don't address those things, or like, hey, why do you have these anger problems, or why, you know, what is up with your mood? What is, because I wasn't the person that you know, you see as being a disrupting class. They didn't see my anger issues as something that needed to be addressed. Oh, it's just Sean. And then you also, you know, you categorize it as the black male child. So, I mean, that's what they are. That's all they are anyway.
Right.
So, you know, as a black man, the only thing that you are able to really express is happiness or anger.
That's it.
And being sexual. Men, like, they can be sexual. They can be aggressive. They can be happy. That's it.
Right. And so when you see those behaviors, it's not an issue. This is just normal.
It's not an issue. And so that's what a lot of that played into me not seeking out help. But I mean, I'm so grateful for my family. They recognize the difference and drug me to the hospital.
Yeah.
So now I think now just the pressure of success, just the platform that I've created, and just the supporters that I get, and then just honestly, just being a therapist, a black man therapist, for one. Like, there are not a lot of us out here.
We're like, yes, there are. Look.
Right. We leaning on y'all. We always searching for y'all.
Right. So I'm always being pulled in multiple directions. Oh, we need you here, or I need you there, or I need you to
podcast. Come to our podcast.
Right. I mean, you know, so like, and I think one of the things when it comes down to this social media stuff, and then I enjoy my platform, but then I also realize that people have a conception that you are at their disposal. And so I can really see, not saying that I'm a celebrity at all, but I can see how celebrities get pulled thin, because they're always pulled in multiple directions, and because they are public figures, people feel like, oh, you better respond to me, or you better do this. Like, and they feel entitled to you.
Right. Like you're ours.
To you. Right.
Right. They don't look at you. They don't look at you as a person anymore.
Right.
They look at you as an object, and then like, you are my object. So when I need you, you need to be readily available and really reach out and do whatever I ask you to do.
Exactly. And if you don't, then I'm gonna blast you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. They don't think about the 50 other million things that you may have going on, or just dealing with life. You just may have a bad day.
Right.
And I don't feel like dealing with nobody.
Yeah. I think about that a lot when it comes to like celebrities, and when someone wants to talk to them or take pictures and they're like, no, not today, or no. And it's like, well, you know, they go off and it's like, these are humans. Like, they aren't robots. Yeah. But it happens.
I have a question, because when you were talking about being young and kind of getting these passes, and, you know, the thing that I was wondering the whole time, because you said there was these different signs, but you was always you were a great kid also. And then being an only child, and then, you know, being a boy, and kind of, I would imagine, being the apple of everyone's eye when you're, you know. So what do you think you really needed? Like, because there's something missing, right? Like, as far as, because you kept kind of saying, like, what do you think you really needed at that time?
That's a great question, man. I needed words to learn how to express myself outside of being physical, outside of just suppressing it. Then we don't teach men how to talk. We don't teach men. We always tell men to suck it up. You know, we always tell men that to just man up. So we teach them to suppress things, so that takes our voice away from us.
So nobody really asking you like, what's going on with you?
Right. No.
Like, what's going on like inside of you? Like, what's going on? Like, what do you know? So,
but even with that, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Ebony, I'm sorry.
I was just saying, even with that, do you have the language to be able to express that?
Right.
Like what's going on? Right.
Don't have that language.
Yeah.
We even if you're, it's like it's like committing a sin when a boy says he's sad or he wants to cry. So you don't have that in your repertoire to lean back on whenever you feel that type of emotion. So when you feel that emotion, you can't put a word to it, and you just be like, man, I got to get over this somehow, some way, or I got to act some other way to get certain things done. And I mean, just I don't know, man. It's very, very interesting just to think about my childhood and certain things. Like I said, I was a good kid, but then also here recently, within the last few months, I realized that I was molested when I was a kid as well. But it wasn't something that I seen as bad at the time because it was by an older woman.
Right.
Well, it was by a female, and she was older. But so you look at men, and if you get introduced to sex when you're 8, 9 years old, that's still fine.
Right. Yeah.
So those types of things, that being exposed to that stuff early on, and it's just a lot.
Yeah.
So I think one thing I would say, one thing I needed when I was younger was having a man in my life being able to communicate with me about what it means to be a man, but then also to understand that it's okay to feel certain types of things, that you don't have to try to always put up this facade. Because a lot of that stuff, even the anger and acting out, it was an act.
Right.
Well, it makes me think of, everything like that you're talking about, the way also that, for example, trauma is internalized and stored in your body. And like you said, like, I'm not even realizing till later on, certain things, or just it's like this volcano that was just kind of simmering.
Definitely.
And not having like another type of release to really even just kind of say like what you're going through right now. And, I just keep thinking how early, you have to be able to just give children the language. Like, oh, you're sad right now. Oh yeah, you're
Right. I mean, then we can't minimize children's feelings, because a lot of times we say, "Oh, kids, y'all ain't got nothing to stress about. All you gotta worry about it.
Yeah,
you ain't got no bills."
Exactly.
Especially in this day and age, like, no. I'm so thankful there were no mobile phone cameras.
Man,
I wouldn't be able to do this.
Hey, look,
Facebook Live.
All these different pictures and videos and stuff coming up.
Yeah. I mean, we definitely undervalue or just don't even like acknowledge what kids and teens go through. When we were younger, and then especially now. And I think that especially for boys, and I'll say Black boys in particular, but minority boys, it's like you're supposed to be a little man, right? You don't even get to have a childhood. And so I think that goes into like the sexual abuse that a lot of young boys go through, where it's kind of minimalized because it's like, oh, well, you're a boy, that's normal, or that's, you just got a head start, or whatever the case may be. And it's not acknowledged like these are children. They're allowed to be children. Just because they're boys don't mean that they have to skip out on their childhood.
Right.
We definitely push that. So now today, what is with everything that you've been through, with just life in general, what is your definition of success?
Success for me is continue to learn who I am, man. And like never stop getting better. Being in tune with myself, and me being able to be in tune with myself helps me help others. I realize that the journey that I'm on is not for me. is for the generations before me, is for my generation, and is for the generations behind me. Because I try to connect those dots to help individuals that are older than me find their voice, and then also help translate my generation. Yo, this is the stuff that you're going through. This is what we need to do to help you get better. And then also not minimalizing the generation after us and letting them see that, yo, it's cool to talk about your feelings, bro. Like, all right, you ain't got to go through the stuff that I went through to get to where I'm at.
Right.
And I don't want you to get. I don't want you to go through that stuff, especially not myself. So I think success for me is continue to work on myself, but then also utilizing me as a vessel to help other people.
That's a good one.
Real
I would agree with that. So how, now that you have better coping skills, how do you deal with your tough, well, I don't know, maybe, but how do you deal with your tough days now?
Oh man, so
stay
for me,
you stay in the gym.
Yeah, I mean, I have to. That's a top priority. We try to separate physical health and mental health, but they work hand in hand.
Definitely.
So one major thing is getting in the gym, meditation. I started doing yoga. Yoga is a beast. It is a beast, not just for the simple fact that the physical things that I have to do with my body that I've never done before, but then also just the creating patience within yourself. Understanding that, yeah, you won't be able to get into a full crow pose your very first time that you try yoga. But if you be patient and diligent and disciplined, you will be able to get to that point at some point in your life. It's not going to happen today. It may not happen next week. It may not even happen this year. You have yogis that have been practicing, the art for decades, and they still don't, they still work on trying to perfect their craft when it comes down to getting in certain poses. As you learning how to control your breathing. When I started yoga, I started feeling muscles that I never felt before.
Right.
So when I feel those new muscles, I'm like, okay, now I'm being even more in tune with my body and learning how things affect me on the inside. Journal, that's my thing too. I journal every single day. One thing that I try to teach my clients and the people that I work with is, in my journal, man, I keep track of everything. I keep track of how many hours I sleep. I keep track of what I eat. I keep track of who I talk to, who pisses me off that day.
It's important, right?
Like seriously, because we try to keep a mental Rolodex of things that increase our stress levels, and you forget. I mean, to be honest, some stuff I don't even remember that I did yesterday.
Right.
So I need to keep track of those things.
Yeah.
So I can go back and look at it and be like, yo, I don't need to talk to this person. I may need to talk more to this person. This person I may need to eliminate out of my life altogether. Or not even a person, but a thing. Maybe, I had a drink or something like that. How did that affect whatever else I had going on that day? Yeah. So I keep track of all of those things. Coloring is my thing too. So that's another thing that I do. Okay. I like to hike. I have to be out in nature some type of way. I try to make that a thing at least once a week. And just being able to be open with my friends, especially my close friends, when it comes down to certain things, and letting them know that, I'm just not having a good day today, and I don't know how to put it into words. Even as much as I talk about mental health, sometimes I just don't have the words to certain things. I'm not perfect. So and then letting my friends know how to help me. Sometimes like my boy Dorian or my boy Nick, and sometimes I'd be like, look, I'm just coming over. I don't want to talk to you, and I don't need to talk to you. I just need your presence there, and then that's it. Right. So you have to be comfortable enough to be able to tell somebody that, and then for somebody to be able to receive that. Because a lot of times, as therapists, we're comfortable with sitting in silence. Most people are not. Right. That's true. Trying to fill that void with some type of noise or something. No, I just want to hear. and let's bounce our energies off of each other, and just it. That's all I need.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that the journaling piece, because I feel like a lot of times you talk to clients about journaling, or you know, trying to introduce journaling, even myself, and it's sometimes difficult to be like, okay, what do I talk about today? So I like it. It's more of a keeping track than like I have to write down all my feelings and you know, all that kind of stuff. It's kind of like I'm just gonna keep track of what my day was like, what affected me, what gave me positive energy, what gave me negative energy, so I could just know for the future. So I think that's an easier way, especially for men, to introduce journaling. Like, just keep track of what you did today.
And why are you stressing journal coming out real soon?
I was gonna say, I hear like a journal coming out. I know you got something in the mix.
People say we got a lot going on. Like, I don't know if we can keep up. So, what is one thing you think every man should know about self-care?
Every man should know about self-care. To do it. That's it. A lot of times we get caught up in, oh, I got to do for the kids, or I got to do for the significant other, or I got to go to work, I got to go do this. I have to provide.
Right.
That's the thing. You can't provide if you broke down.
That's right.
Like, that's just it. So explore ways of self-care, and then understand what self-care is and what it isn't.
Right.
Going out, staying out at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning every night and drinking and all, that's not self-care.
Exactly.
So just really understanding what that is for you, and finding some peace with it, and then incorporate it into your daily lifestyle. Don't wait until you can't take it anymore and you like, oh, now I need to go take a break. Nah, you need to do that every single day.
Yeah.
We could get you on the world tour. Happening in every city, talking to all people about this, because again, you know, I think that's one of the things that Ebony and I always kind of struggle with is sending that message. But I think it's different when men hear it from a man.
Yeah.
And that you are kind of like this, you know, like the guy next door type of deal. You know, it's like it's different in the way that you're talking about it. You know, without all of the psychology jargon, and without all of that, like, I'm here and, you know, I'm the ex, you know, it's like more people need to hear this, and more men need to be talking about this, because so many men need to hear it.
Right. And I think, you know, we talk about, you know, changing the way therapy looks on both sides of the couch. I think that's because I've been on both sides of the couch.
That's right.
And I hated it when I was in a certain atmosphere, and I was like, I feel like I'm not getting anything done.
Right.
So to really address the issues, but then especially as a Black man, I base it off of what I feel like will work for me.
Yeah.
And so like that's we have to understand that cultural aspect of it. You know, it's one thing to know all of the words in the book, but if you can't help nobody with it, what's the point?
Right, definitely. So last question before we get to like our little quick round, but what is one thing that you wish every woman knew about men's mental health?
You said just one?
One thing. Don't lecture us. We just want one thing.
He said he'll be back next week for the next.
Oh man. I see. Well, I guess one thing that I hit on a lot, especially when I speak with women, is I hate generalizing, but this is like like women try to press men to speak about certain things. But they have to realize that that's going to, for one, take time, but then also realize that we don't have the words. I've like, I said this before, like even when you're raising a young man, women even tell young men, man up, or don't cry. But then you expect your significant other to be able to talk about everything underneath the sun. Man, this man is going all throughout his life without talking about certain things and just sucking it up. So it's not going to be something that's easy to really open up about. So for women, just being patient and understanding that it's a process. But then also, you know, y'all got to deal with y'all stuff too.
Well, right. You know, because you know the question that women are going to have after they hear that. How much time?
How long does it take?
How much time is it taking you to deal with your stuff?
That's true.
Well, it's about an hour and 55 minutes, and so you got a solid 250. But no, I think you're right. You know, it's going back again. It's something that affects all of us, right? Like it's something that affects all of us because it really is about what you said earlier, changing the way, just the narrative. Right. And changing for, you know, we're not just dealing with our stuff, we're undoing the stuff that was done to the generations before us, right? And now we're trying to undo our stuff so that the next generations, you know, we're still going to pass on some stuff to them too, right. In the hopes that it won't be as much. So, you know, it's a lot, but I'm so encouraged, especially because you think about everything that you just said, like to where you were at before, where you're like, I was drinking a fifth of tequila every other day, to now I'm mindful. Now I'm taking, you know, the time to journal what I'm doing. What do I need to do? Like, that's so encouraging, I think, for all of us, you know, that there is the possibility of change. And that's what I think is what you really represent, is the hope that, hey, there is just always a way. And you can't tell me there's not, because look what I've done.
Right.
Look what I'm doing. And I continue to do it.
And I think too, man, we, especially in Black and brown communities, man, we got to get back to the sense of community, man.
Absolutely.
Like, we're at odds with each other for what? It's a, you know, a Hispanic and Black thing, or it's a light skin, dark skin thing, or it's a man versus woman thing. No, like we all deal with something. Like, why can't we help each other out? I get it really it really hurts me to see, you know, just a lot of the dialogue on social media, like men dogs and this, that, and the third, and or women ain't this, or they go. I'm like, yo, well, change. Y'all keep talking about it. Y'all change the narrative. You be that example that you want to actually see.
Right.
What's the putting that energy out there about that?
Yeah.
So let's change that.
Definitely. So, what's your favorite book or resource?
In addition to the Playbook, or you can get on his website.
Right. We will post the link in the comments or in the show notes.
Man, let's see. Favorite resource, I would say, Melanin mental health. When it comes down to just the clinicians and stuff, man, it's dope. Like, because I get asked all the time, like, look, yo, you know, do you got a Black man or, you know, a Black woman or a Hispanic woman in this state? I'm like, yo, I live in Charlotte, B. But, I mean, it's cool. So, I mean, I have somewhere to send them to.
Yeah.
So, like, and it's always, and then, because I'm not knocking psychology today, and, you know, because they have a lot of resources and stuff there. But when it comes down to it, you know, you got to sort through all of those pictures. Now, if I just send them straight to that directory, I got people of color. Right there. That's it. You don't have to do a bunch of. For one, people, if you put too many steps in trying to find a therapist, they're not gonna do it.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. That's definitely true.
So I mean, you gotta think about that stuff, man. Book. Ah, man.
I will say your book is great, though. I will say, though, like, your book is great. Like, I'm actually getting more copies from my office because it's not just a book that you read from cover to cover without, you know, it's not just your story. It's very much kind of like you tell your story, which is so powerful just out the gate. And then at the end, you're walking people through, like, this is what I want you to do now, and take this into consideration. So you're sharing your story, then you're saying, okay, now do this. So it's very interactive.
No, yeah, definitely. I mean, that's how I approach everything. It's not, like I said before, it's not about me.
Right.
Like, like none of this is not about me. It's about helping other people and however I possibly can.
Yeah.
So me just sharing my story, but then also with that, that's why I went and got my degree in counseling. That's why I'm getting my PhD in psychology, because I understand when I share my story, I'm more than just an advocate. Because if I share my story, I understand that it's going to evict emotions in people that they got to sit with. So I need a clinical background too to be able to help them with that stuff. So I'm not out here, I'm gonna just throw my story out there just because mental health is a hot topic right now, or suicide is a hot topic right now, and just so that y'all, you know, I can share my story and get some likes and all of that stuff. No, I'm here to actually help.
Right.
You really put the action into play, really, like having the action, because, and I think that's what you will find a lot of times. You go to an event or you go to somebody's seminar and you're like, all right, now what do I do?
Right. What's next? So tell us about everything you have going on. We know it's a lot. Start from, I don't even know where to start.
Man, look. I see what I got going on. So right now, we last month, Eustress, actually, we had our inaugural Let's Talk About It Mental Health Awareness Gala. It was dope, man. We had a lot of people there. We had almost 200 people there, and we really just had a good time, man. People dressed up. People actually were able to come out for a good cause. It was a fundraising event. But then we also announced that we're working on our mental health triage clinic that we want to be launched at the end of the summer. It's going to be here in Charlotte. And the goal for the triage clinic is to have individuals that need care, especially in Black and brown communities, to get adequate diagnoses and culturally competent diagnoses. So I see a lot of my boys. I call all my clients and stuff, I call them my boys, but I call all of my boys, man, they receive a lot of misdiagnoses, and then they get thrown on medication. So we need culturally competent therapists to be able to address these needs and incorporate that cultural factor when it comes down to placing a diagnosis on the individual. But then, so the goal for the clinic is to do that for free. But then also with that, we will refer out to a culturally competent clinician that can actually provide the service that that individual will need. So, and then the goal for that will be Eustress will pay for therapy for a year for that individual as well.
Oh, wow.
So that's the clinic. That's the gist of the clinic. Also launched the Pathway to Eustress campaign. So with the book, with Injury Reserve, we want to get 100,000 copies of Injury Reserve into the hands of 100,000 inmates across the nation. We all know that, you know, Black and brown men, they're, you know, some of them are unjustly tried and sent to prison, but we make up a majority of the prison system. So, and then a lot of people that suffer from mental illness are not hospitalized but thrown in jail because we don't have the facilities out here for them. So the goal is to get these books into these men's hands, not even just prisons, but also juvenile detention centers. So they can really start to address what's really going on, and then we provide some type of hope for them. So we just launched that campaign. So it's $10 a book. You get $10, and then so the beauty of that as well is, let's say if you know somebody that's incarcerated and you donate your $10. If you want to send it to that particular person, you can input their information, and I will write a personal note to that individual as well inside of the book. So not only will they get the book, but they'll also get a personal message from them. So, and it can be a game changer when you receive some personal mail when you're disconnected from society.
Right.
That's so good.
That's awesome. Your phone call.
Oh yeah, I do so every Wednesday, which is, you know, Wednesday at 8 o'clock. Eastern Standard Time, I do the locker room talk phone calls, where men from across the nation, they call in and we check in. We just chop it up. So that's been going on for almost 2 years now. What else? The journal. I'm actually working on the journal, so the journal is coming soon. Membership site is coming very soon as well, so I've been working on that. Man, everything else is. I got some other stuff going, but I can't remember all of what it is.
Where do we find all of this? I'm taking notes.
So we can see what you got coming up.
Right.
Oh man, yeah. So Oh no, really one dope thing though that I'm really excited about coming up. I'm actually leaving today. I'll be teaching a class at the University of North Carolina. We're I'm going to teach a class on how to mentally survive a PWI as a man of color. That's gonna be. I'm teaching summer school, so that's gonna be dope.
Wow, that's fantastic.
That's amazing, man.
Wow.
Love that one, man.
Professor. Professor Miller.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, you can find everything either at my website, Rwenshaun.com. That's RWENSHAUN.com. And you can keep up with Eustress stuff. It's EUSTRESSINC.org. Yeah, I try to post as much stuff as I possibly can when it comes down to keeping stuff up to date. And one thing that I realized for myself, I needed help doing that, so I got an assistant now. So
just now.
Look, funds, and you know what you need may not add up at the same.
Right.
Get it. And we all know this work. Not in this to get paid.
Yes.
Like, I mean, but that's a whole nother story when it comes. I put therapists and teachers in the same boat, man. So yeah, we don't get compensated for all the work that we actually do. But yeah, that's something on a legislative point that we actually need to address. But
yeah. All right. Well, we appreciate you. I took so many notes. It's all going to be in the show notes. Everything he said, I'm going to try to link to it. Make sure I link back to Rwenshaun.com, eustressinc.org. And then I'll get the number for the locker room phone call, put that on there so that we can make sure people can actually find it. And we'll put that on our resources. I've been saying that for a while. We need to put that on our resource page so people can start calling in. So, yeah, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. We usually ask, why are you, a dope therapist? Well, if this whole podcast can tell you, and you be the representative of why therapy is dope, I mean,
yes,
so much. Thank
yes.
you. Before we leave, though, I got to remind everybody about our upcoming webinar next week. It is next Thursday. We are still celebrating Pride Month this month. And so our very own Justin Smith of the Queer Center is going to be leading a webinar on when culture and sexuality intersect in the therapy room. So it's going to be really good. If you have a directory membership, it's free to you. If not, then it's only $10. So sign up for that. And then we are going to start a giveaway today. We're going to give away one of those Pride shirts that we were wearing earlier this month. You can win one of those. And so I'll be posting the details of that giveaway later today. But thank you so much, Rwenshaun.
Yes,
I appreciate y'all.
I'm going to go start my journaling right now. This is what I learned this morning from Rwenshaun.
Right. You wanted to talk some more, Rwenshaun.
All right, y'all.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.